Okay, everyone, so we're going to get started. More people will be joining, so I'll let them in slightly after and as we go along. So today's session is just going to be following the fundamentals of SEO. I am your sole host today, so Olivia, who was with us last week, is on leave this week, so I'm going to try my best to do the whole hour by myself. A little bit of background on myself. I've been in SEO for nearly 10 years. I've been lucky enough to work on campaigns with Groupon, WH Smith, Hotel Chocolat, international campaigns, e-commerce ones, and probably looked at or optimized over 1,000 websites over the last few years. So I'm going to hopefully share some of that knowledge with you, hopefully get rid of some of the myths around SEO, and then open the floor at the end. If anybody wants to have any questions answered, I can either unmute you if you raise your hand at the end, or you can leave a message in the message box. So we're going to dive straight in, even though we still got some arrivers. So today's schedule in total, we're going to be covering the foundations of search engine optimization, technical on-page and off-page, local and international we'll touch on briefly, e-commerce, search engine optimization, simple SEO mistakes and how to avoid them, and then competitor analysis. Each week and every couple of weeks we'll be covering different subjects, so keep an eye on the future schedule, and we will also have a copy of these videos available and the previous weeks for you to watch at your leisure. So the foundations of SEO haven't really changed over the last 10 years at all. It's all very much stayed the same, but it's been a slight evolution. So we have on-page optimization, off-page optimization, and technical. And what most people will be familiar with would be on-page in terms of the old-fashioned way of thinking about SEO. How many times can I put in my keywords in one page? How often can I repeat the same phrase? So I am a butcher's in Brighton. If you want the best butcher's in Brighton, then visit our butcher's shop in Brighton because it's fantastic. And sadly, that's how, still to this day, a lot of people see SEO. And to be honest, it doesn't give us any justice as SEOs because it's a lot more complex than that. And it's a lot more complex than just adding blog articles to your website. And certainly, if you think that it's anything to do with adding superficial backlinks to your website anymore, then it is a million miles away from that also. So technical SEO pretty much covers all aspects of the performance relating to your website. And we'll start here because there's actually loads of really fantastic tools available directly from Google themselves. We've even had the pleasure of working with Google engineers on identifying ways for people to improve their website. If you use a browser extension or Chrome extension or Google Chrome, you'll be able to download something called Lighthouse, which is a free Google tool, which you can plug into your browser extension, and you can run a free technical SEO audit on any website. Unlimited, you can do it as much as you want. It's completely free, an amazing tool which isn't shouted about enough by Google. And that is Lighthouse once again. Here at Nettl, we're releasing a tool very, very soon, which is has been worked on with Google engineers, which will allow you to run these Lighthouse audits across a whole website in one go. What this tool will do at the moment is just do one page at a time, which is fine for small SMBs or small, medium-sized businesses. So you can go onto the web page, click on the Lighthouse icon at the top of the page, and it will run a technical audit there for you right away. It will take about 1 minute or so, normally less. Once you have that data, this is data from which web developers should be using, marketeers should be using to ensure that we're building websites mobile first in an age where 70% of traffic is coming from mobile devices. And some of you even now I can see are on mobile devices in your cars and in your bedrooms and in your offices and your workplaces. So there is a huge volume, more than ever, and it's continuing to go that way of mobile first. Sadly, though, we still design and build websites most of the time by building desktop first experiences, but really, really try to shift that focus towards mobile as you go towards redesigning and trying to have these new experiences. So technical SEO will cover your website speed, your website security, your website's usability. Does it work on all browsers? Does it only work on the latest version of Chrome? There are also some free tools out there which allows you to test your website on cross-browser compatibility. And you can just search that on Google, browser compatibility test, and there is a range of free services out there which will allow you to test your website for those. The most popular, and it's worth bearing in mind, most popular by far right now is Google Chrome, followed by Firefox, followed by Internet Explorer, from which Internet Explorer is about to be fully defunct in the next year, as Microsoft have just announced they're no longer going to support Internet Explorer into the future. Sorry, I'm still letting people in. There we go. You can also analyze the performance of your website via tools such as Hotjar. Hotjar have a free version of this account. You can install a very small snippet of code onto your web page, and this will allow you to do something really clever, which is record every single user experience on your website from a visitor. You'll be able to see their mouse moving, you'll be able to see their interactions with pages, and where they can find frustrations and dead ends. Now, if you can imagine if a user is finding frustrations and dead ends on your website, then an algorithm or a crawler, which we'll explain in a moment, is also going to have those issues. So you want to make your website as user-friendly as possible, which fits directly under the technical SEO umbrella. So here we go again. So crawling and indexing. We talked about this last time, and we're going to go through it very quickly again. Crawling and indexing is the fundamental way that search engines such as Google, which has more than 85% of the market share, analyzes your website. And it can only analyze your website by following links. If your links are hidden behind large images as big buttons, which have no meaning, then Google is going to struggle, as will all search engines, to understand exactly what it's following through that link. Another classic mistake that we see is a lot of people putting click here as a link and linking through to a page. Now, all that's doing is optimizing that page for the phrase click here, from which is no good to anybody. So you may find historically searching click here on Google would show Adobe as a result, from the millions of people over the years who have said click here to download this PDF. So it's accidental optimization on the phrase click here. Now, companies and websites that do this fantastically are often press-related websites who are using citations to other areas where they say quoted from this person, and the link is quoted from this person linking to that citation, or within something like Wikipedia where it's talking about a subject and where it may say the silverback gorilla can be found in X region. X region is a link to a page about that region. And it's building up an authoritative index on a subject, which gives you an authority to be found on Google. And that is the same for anybody. You know, whether or not you're trying to compete against Amazon for an e-commerce phrase, or whether or not you're a small business just trying to target something locally. The two fundamental things that you're aiming for there are to build out authority by using internal linking as much as possible for on-page SEO. Now, robots.txt as a file extension is something that most websites, if not all websites, have or should have. And if they don't, that's basically saying whether or not you are open to business for Google and other search engines to go and crawl your website. So typically, you can add something to your robots.txt file that says, do not index, do not follow. And what that tells a search engine spider when it tries to access your website is, do not go in here, there's nothing to be found. So if you don't want your website found on Google, then you can put no index, no follow in robots.txt, and that will disallow all search engines from indexing that website. On the flip side, if you want to increase your visibility, which you should be, especially if you're on this call, otherwise you're probably on the wrong call, is you want to upload a sitemap to something called Google Search Console. Google Search Console is like the ugly cousin of Google Analytics. Analytics, everybody knows and loves quite well, and you should do because it's, once again, a fantastic free tool that you don't have to pay for to have amazing insights on your audience. Search Console is the heartbeat directly into Google's search engine. It will tell you if there are fundamental flaws and errors with your website while crawling and accessing it. It will tell you if there are performance issues. It will tell you if your SEO company has built lots of bad, dodgy backlinks to your website, and it may tell you to remove those links to avoid getting a penalty. So it is very much something which a lot of SEOs or search engine optimizers will try to keep from you because it gives you so much visibility. It will also do the only way of transparently rank tracking keywords associated with your business. And this isn't a case of saying to you, what keywords do you want to track and follow? Search Console will find over 1,000 variations of different search results from which are relevant for your business. It will tell you where you rank for them and how much visibility you're gaining for them. You can download those for free on an amazing spreadsheet from which then you can cross-correspond against volume of searches so you can understand how much traffic you're missing out on. And that is really fundamentally important. So once again, go and have a look. It's another amazing free tool straight from the guys at Google. So mobile friendliness, you can find this out from Search Console, but once again, you can even use Google's own mobile friendly tester, and you can find these results from Lighthouse as well. It will give you a score. It is a big score and something that you must focus on. The average website speed for most small to medium-sized businesses loads in around 6 seconds, and to compete against those like Amazon and eBay, your website needs to load in less than 2 seconds, fully on mobile devices in a 3G simulated environment. And if you're not doing that, then you're probably focusing too much on big, shiny, glossy images on your website, and you need to focus more on delivering what the searcher or Google's customer is actually looking for. Don't be distracted by having big visuals. Look at the most popular websites in the world. They're simplistic, they're straight to the point, they're lightweight. Google is its own website, it's not the internet, and it's very lightweight. There are also no adverts anymore on the right-hand side of a page because nobody looks on the right-hand side of the page. People's natural attention is drawn to the left-hand column of a page. So when people are putting calls to action on the right, actually, that's not a very good idea. You should be putting calls to action on the left-hand side of the page. And this all fits underneath SEO. Nothing to do with putting loads of keywords in a page right now. So use all of these free tools to your advantage for technical SEO. If you're a Nettl customer, then all of these challenges are completed for you throughout a campaign. That's because we are engineers, we are developers, we are people who live and breathe code, and we make these changes. But it doesn't mean that you can't learn them yourselves. I learned myself from watching YouTube videos 10 years ago on each way how to fix this on WordPress. WordPress first, because so many websites are on WordPress right now, and it's the most open source and user-friendly SEO content management system to build upon. So we also have page speed, which you can, once again, check via Google Lighthouse, which I would thoroughly recommend, or you can use a website such as gtmetrics.com. You can run your website on there. It's an impartial speed analysis tool, and it will tell you where you're falling down on your website speed, what assets are taking up so much load. And I can almost guarantee if you're suffering from a slow website, it's probably because of what I call vanity images that you're adding to your website because you think it looks pretty rather than actually delivering any value whatsoever to a customer. The guys at Google once said to me that the worst thing that a website can do sometimes is have multiple slides, because the reality is that if you have a slideshow, about 0.2% of people will ever view slide 3. So you may be designing all of these pretty slides, but nobody is waiting for you to go through that slideshow. They're trying to access information as fast as they possibly can. So you want to, if you've got 3 slides, you want all 3 calls to action on that homepage next to each other in corresponding boxes, not hidden behind 3 things from which we don't know how to get there. So try and bring information forward. Broken pages and redirects, you can once again find this all out via using this suite of tools from which I'll leave you a goodie bag of links to go and download and play around with this yourself, or any good website auditor. You can visit your own Nettl auditor, which we'll also leave a link to at the end, which will analyze this for you. If your website structure and the architecture of your website. How are you creating content silos of authority? And this is super important. It kind of fits underneath technical, but also on page as well. So that basically means that if you are trying to be an expert in one particular field, in one area, in one region, then your content has to focus on that core area, the questions that people ask around that core area, and that locality and the regions within that locality that you serve. If you are trying to target butchers in Brighton, the more content you have on sausages, burgers, and range of meats, as well as the different places that you can go and take a picnic in Brighton, for example, that is feeding the algorithm with all of the information that it needs to go, not only are you an authority in Brighton, but you're also an authority in butchery because you have this range of content relating to sausages and kebabs and meat and so on and so forth. So if you could take that and you can apply that to any industry in any location, it's exactly the same. Whether or not you're a dentist, you should be creating loads of content, unique content around teeth whitening, around invisible aligners. And the more of that content you create, the more visibility you will have for dentists in your locality. And that brings me nicely on to URL structure. And there's one super quick, easy tip for you here, which is never separate your page title URLs with underscores, only ever use hyphens. Underscores in Google's algorithm combines two words together. And if those two words don't make sense as one word, then Google's not going to be able to interpret it as two separate words. If you separate your pages with hyphens, so you are butchersbrighton.com/sausages -barbecue, rather than sausages _barbecue, which creates a word which is unreadable. So there's a really easy, quick tip there. And you also want to try to build out that, that page structure. So you might have /sausages, /type of sausage, and then it would be a range of types of sausages fitting underneath the main category, which is sausages. And I don't know why I'm talking about this. It might be because I haven't eaten much today, and I've got my eyes on the outside world and a barbecue later. Accessibility is the final thing, which is making sure that this website is accessible from the remotest areas of the UK. How often have you been on public transport, trains, buses, where the signal's dropped out and you've gone from Wi-Fi to 3G? We are not there as a nation yet when it comes to website speed. We need to make our websites less focused about how we want to represent ourselves and more about delivering the best possible experience for a prospective customer looking for information, because that's what they're looking for. Don't hide information. Stop building brochure websites which have zero value to the internet. Start contributing to the internet as much as possible. On-page SEO. So going back to the olden days, as I like to say, of people thinking they could just repeat keywords over and over and over again, and that increases your authority. Not anymore. If you do that, you're more likely to get penalized in time. And if you are spotting your competitors' ranking by doing this tactic, it will not be long until they disappear into the ether, and it'll be very hard for them to regain that position. Now, the only way to build out on-page SEO right now is by understanding the intent of somebody searching for your website or your business. What is their intent? And this is something that Google will continue to say to you, which is, why are they accessing your website? If you are trying to target recruitment company as a keyword, for example, there are many different versions of intent relating to that keyword. You might be looking for a job in a recruitment company. You might be looking for the average salary of somebody in a recruitment company. But always it starts off with a short tail search phrase, and it eventually gets longer and longer and longer into a long tail key phrase. So whereas most of the sheep in the SEO world will follow these hyper competitive short tail phrases, you should be going the opposite way and going after the long tail niche phrases. Right now, I believe it's more than 1 in 5 searches that go into Google have never been searched for before by anybody ever in its entirety. So people are getting more confident of asking longer tail questions. We're using more voice-oriented devices, which is only going to increase as we go forward. So people are accessing these long tail search phrases. A good example for you, and one that I always like to go back to, is if you start looking for a HDTV, a new TV, you might start searching HDTV, which on Google says there's 250,000 searches a month, and you think, if I rank top for that, I'm going to be a millionaire. No, you're not, because people search 3 or 4 times to find precisely what they're looking for. So they start off by searching HDTV, and then they go, there's too much choice, and I don't trust some of these brands. So they go 32-inch HDTV, and then they go, well, I don't want a sharp TV, and the Toshiba ones that they're recommending. So then they search Samsung 32-inch HDTV. And then they go, wow, I've seen that advert about these curved screens. So they go Samsung 32-inch HDTV curved screen. And they're buying at that phrase, the phrase which maybe only has 20 or 30 searches a month compared to this vanity phrase, which has hundreds of thousands of searches every single month. So you want to be able to predict what they're searching for before they're searching for it. A couple of great, easy ways to go through that, and I'll run through that in a couple of slides' time. There's loads of free tools out there which will allow you to continue doing this yourself. So, moving on, we've got intent match, but then the heading and page structure. You have H1 titles, H2 titles, and H3. Don't list everything as a H1 title because it's convenient, because it's the right size for a header that you want. You can change the CSS code or get your developers to, which will allow you to bookmark your website properly. And when I say that, you want to go from H1 being your primary subject, HDTVs, going down to maybe your H2, which is a range of TVs which are 32-inch TVs, and you are feeding the intent as you go. This will allow the page that you're optimizing to not just rank for the vanity phrase, but also to rank for these very niche phrases by having a large volume of question and answer content listed as titles throughout that page. You want to add metadata to those pages also. Although they have no direct impact on your website's ranking, they do increase click-through rate because that is your advert into the wider world. If it's an appealing meta description, you're much more likely to have somebody click through, and that engagement does feed in as a ranking signal. So if somebody chooses not to click on your ad when you end up ranking on Google, that feeds back as a negative signal that maybe this isn't the right result. So you want to make that description as compelling as possible to attract somebody in. So whether it's an offer, whether it's a little carrot on the end of a rope, put whatever you can out there to try and entice people to click into that website. Once they're on there, if the website is fast and secure and relevant, they're going to stay. They're going to find what they're looking for, which tells Google, great, we've got the right result, push you further up again. And this is the correct way to do SEO. On this page, where you have information about sausages, let's say, your images of different sausages that you have on that page, you need to label correctly. Do not label your images, image 008.jpg, because that's what it came out of your phone as. You need to label those images with what they represent. And not only does that feed Google's image algorithm, which is obviously very important to Google, because how else does it train its self-driving cars and all of the other exciting things that it's working on, but it also helps general accessibility by allowing people with eyesight impairment who rely on visual readers to understand what they're looking at on the web. Now, if somebody who has difficulty seeing has a struggle understanding what's on your web page because you're not labeling it correctly, then how on earth can you possibly expect an algorithm and a crawling robot to analyze that and understand what on earth you're talking about if your image is labeled image 0009 and you have no alt text associated with it. So alt text needs to represent exactly what that image is, and your image file name should be separated with hyphens and be representing exactly what you're talking about on that page. A chipolata hyphen sausage. Perfect. That's exactly what you need. So go and do that. Usability, once again, making sure that that website is accessible, overflows into this area quite nicely. Speed and ease of use. Don't go crazy with lots of random calls to action everywhere. A couple of concise calls to action, one on the left-hand column, one at the bottom of the page as people scroll down via a mobile device. Remove as much of the noise as you possibly can, and that will not only speed up your website, but make it significantly more accessible. Nothing wrong with black text on a white background. It serves a purpose because that is the easiest contrast for us to analyze as human beings when it comes to reading content. That's why when you read a book, they don't have different random colors of that book on each page, because it would just be bloody annoying to consume that content. So you want to try and make it as simplistic and easy, go back to basics. This is what works. This is why Google have not changed their appearance on their search engine for many years, because it works. Don't change something that doesn't work. Accuracy. So what you don't want to be doing is having a little sign on your meta description and your page title saying that this is what's behind this page. Find out the prices for our double glazing, and then you click through and there's no pricing. Google's going to know that because it can understand what represents price. So not only will that find it deceiving and frustrating for the user who clicks through, but it also, search engines are going to punish you for being deceitful with special doorway pages to try to manipulate people. And Google will know, ultimately, if it can't analyze and it doesn't understand that maybe an image is showing all of the prices, it will know when people click through and then bounce back less than a second later, and then click on one of your competitors and stay on that page for 3 minutes because they've got a relevant video, an infographic, and a large amount of content which they're actually looking for. Do not be afraid to give away everything over your website. Put as much as your expertise, which you all have on your subjects, on that website, because people will not only hugely appreciate that, but you're adding value to the internet. You're adding a different perspective on things. So that leads me nicely and finally on page ranking signals to expertise, authority, and trust. If you have Jamie Clarkson doing an article in NetMums about parenting, naturally Google has a patent which allows it to understand that Jamie Clarkson is not an expert in parenting, but actually an expert in cars. So that article in NetMums, which Jamie Clarkson has written, will not have the same authority as an article that Jamie Clarkson writes about cars in the Auto Trader. That article, by its nature, will be ranked automatically higher because it has the authority compared to an article in NetMums, which won't have the authority and expertise. It can even, in this scary utopian world that we now live in, understand who wrote an article, even if they don't put their name to it. And that's from analyzing lots of authorship over the years. Google now has the ability to understand who has created this content, even if they don't put a name to it, if they are a prolific enough writer. And this helps it with distinguishing fake news in the world of SEO, which is very, very rife right now. Obviously, we're heading into a world where OpenGP3, which is a new type of artificial intelligence, is only just started fooling people and passing the Turing test by creating perfectly readable content pieces in sub 1 second. And we're actually experimenting at the moment with the ability to use artificial intelligence to understand what an image represents in an e-commerce store, and then autonomously create a 400-word unique description for over 1 million products in just a few minutes. So that's where this is heading, but that doesn't take away from expertise, authority, and trust. It will know what is fodder in terms of product description. And if you are a dentist and you are giving advice on your website and you're marked up because your LinkedIn profile is public and you're linking your article to your LinkedIn profile, Google knows that you are an authoritative figure and therefore will give your website more authority and trust. If you are giving all of your content creation to third parties, and we're saying this even though we do content creation as Nettl, it's not going to be as beneficial as if you are contributing and fighting the good fight and creating content yourselves, separating or giving responsibilities to employees to put their expertise on the website. This is where it needs to go. The content that we create at Nettl for your campaigns, if you are a Nettl customer, still hold its valid point, because what we're trying to do is increase your overall generic authority and also add new content to your website to get Google's crawlers to come back. Because this is important. Because if you add no new content to your website, then Google is not going to come back and check it out again. So as your competitors are adding more content or off-site content or social media content, and you're staying stagnant and resting on your laurels that, hey, we've ranked top for ages and that's where we're always going to rank, you're slowly going to lose authority over time. And that's really important not to let that happen, because you're in a privileged position. To retain that, you need to create compelling, useful, and relevant content. So get to it. Right, moving on. Off-page SEO. What I see as the most annoying and frustrating part of search engine optimization is sadly when SEO companies will not tell you what they're doing. And they won't tell you what they're doing 9 times out of 10 because they're using some kind of link scheme in the back end to try to trick and deceive search engine algorithms to think a website is authoritative when it is not. Now things have monumentally shifted and you can rank a website with 1 or 2 backlinks, and you could, and I have done before, outrank Amazon for key products with only 2 backlinks by becoming the authority on a product by building out in-depth authority on a subject or on a product from an expert in that field. So it is possible without any backlinks at all now. Backlinks do help, but they only help now in small volumes and if they're relevant. So if we're going back to, let's say, double glazing, if you're in the double glazing world and you're targeting Manchester, then you might want to get a couple of links on local press in Manchester, which are relevant for the region, because you've got 2 areas here, double glazing and Manchester. So you want Manchester relevant links pointing to your website, and then you want ideally home and building related links pointing to your website. So that could be associations that you're part of. Make sure those associations link to you. See if you can do a blog article or a guest post on that association website pointing back to your website. Once again, being the authority and a master on a subject. Or if there is a lifestyle blog or a home improvement blog that you can contribute some content to, then go and leave your thoughts and advice and expertise on there. And if you've been clever and created some good guides on your website to how to measure double glazing windows yourself at home, then you can put a link from that blog through to your website, adding value to people and to the journey online. And this is all helping your SEO journey. You don't need many links. You only need a handful of good authoritative ones to make this work now. The rest of your time should be focused on adding your expertise to social media and your website itself. So, just to reiterate, you want 2 subjects, your core area, double glazing, and your locality, either the whole of the UK, which is a lot harder, or a sub-location, which is a lot easier, and then getting relevant local links from within that region and relevant industry links pointing through. It's all about relevance. That's really, really important. One cheat way that you could do it, and one way when I had my own company, which I did my own link building for, was going and approaching schools and charities. Now, there's a reason behind this. There are 2 golden links in the world of SEO. There's government links and there's educational links. And they are the most 2 trusted links that you can obtain on the internet. Now, the great thing about charities and schools is that schools count as a government link and an educational link, and every charity is linked to from both educational and government websites. So what happens is the trust from the government websites and the school and university websites go through to the charity or through to the school website. And then if you, let's say, sponsored a school football team and got them a football kit for a couple of £100 and asked them to put a little blog on their website to help increase your own exposure, that's a fantastic way to get a good, relevant local backlink. And if you can find a relevant charity for your industry, you can even offset, obviously, that donation that you're doing against your corporation tax bill. So it could be an exercise where you're doing a great amount of good charity-wise. And I'm not an accountant, so check with your accountant before doing it. But not only can you help your local community, but you build up your own SEO authority, and you're doing something good as well. So a really, really great exercise is explore donating money to schools and local charities. God only knows we certainly need it right now. And a lot of local businesses do as well. So giving back to the community will give you a huge advantage. So as we were saying, so there are a range of site ranking signals in 2020 and probably for the next few years. So reviews are massive. I'm going back to using Google's native tools here. So stop focusing on getting reviews on TripAdvisor, on Yale, or any of these areas. Just focus on getting reviews into Google My Business. And it's a free service that Google offers. They even geo match it. So when somebody leaves a store or location, it will say a message to their Android phone saying, hey, how was it over at Nettl today? Was it good? Did you have fun? Were they okay? Were they legit? And more people who leave reviews relating to that, the more authority you're given and what we call the pack listings. So if you're a local business, the ABC map listings are the fastest way to glory. There's only a handful of ranking factors associated with that compared to the core search engine and the core algorithm. So that is reviews, social media, intent, speed, and accessibility. If you have 100 reviews saying that you're the best hairdresser in Bristol, and somebody's searching for a hairdresser in Bristol, then you are going to rank for that phrase. That is going to happen, providing your website is accessible, your website is fast, your website is secure, and it's doing all of the right things. Now, relevant backlinks, we just touched on that. Make sure that you're not getting random links or going to your mates saying, hey, you got a website, link to my website, I'll link to yours. And they're completely two different industries. That's not going to add value to anybody at all, ever. If you have a page like that on your website, then delete it, nuke it, get rid of it. It's pointless. It's not helping anybody, and it's actually confusing things for crawlers out there. Link to associations. If you're mentioned in the press, say, hey, here's my article in the Times. The amount of people who have association logos on their website but don't actually link to bloody association, how on earth can you expect a search engine to understand what this association is if you don't link to it and understand what community you're in? So linking citations to your own expertise is equally as important as getting links pointing to you. So reputation, as we were saying, reviews, Trustpilot, you're going to have to get in there. You're going to have to answer to reviews as much as you can. If you get negative ones, get more positive ones. Believe it or not, you're going to be more favored if you have a mixture of reviews rather than Dodgy Dave, who's got 100 5-star reviews and no 3-star, 2-star, 1-star. The reality is, as business owners, we will have negative reviews. That is just the nature of business. It's how we tackle those and answer those. And if they're not a real customer, then just say that and move on. But don't shy away from it. If you've got 3 negative reviews and only 1 positive, go and get more positive ones. And don't make them fake. Google knows if they're being left in your region. It knows if somebody's visited your shop, if it's a physical location. So there's no point trying to trick them. They are tracking every single movement of the majority of people in this country. So don't think that there's a way of gaming that system in the long run. So relationships, like I was saying, if you're part of an association, then linking to those associations where relevant. Having positive brand mentions on social media. If somebody is saying that Feel Good Hypnosis is the best hypnosis company in the region, that's going to feed back as a positive signal. You don't need to have a physical link to make it a worthwhile message and link pointing to you. So having social signals, people liking content that you're creating, people engaging with it. Stop posting out utter nonsense on your social media channels with just offers. People don't care, and the algorithms will not show the social media content that you're just churning out. You need to add value to the community. You need to engage with your users. If you're just churning out your monthly news article as a Facebook message, nobody's going to care. And quite frankly, why should they? And also, why would they want any sales messages that are being pumped out? They don't want, nobody goes to social media for a sales pitch. You need to engage with your audience, win them over. You need to send 5-6 messages of just general community engagement and then hit them with a sales message. If you're just going in with sales message and news dump, then you're adding, once again, no value to the internet, no value to social media, so don't expect to gain anything from it at all. Sorry, I'm being quite blunt there. Citations is another really important one. So on the map listings, ABC map listings, if you have corresponding signals across the internet, and this is something that we cover for every local business on a Nettl SEO campaign, if your name, address, and phone number is not matched up on all of your social media to your Google My Business, to your Yale, Thompson Local, and all of these other accounts, then Google goes, well, I can't trust you. And therefore, it's not going to prioritize you in the map listings. So you must make sure that your name, address, and phone number is the same across all of the channels. You're not using different random locations. Sadly, there are businesses out there who try to launch in every town and city across the UK when they don't even have a physical presence there. They're using a random PO box to try to trick Google into saying that they're a local business when they're truly not. And that is way too rife right now. So Google trying to tackle that is saying, hey, we need citations. We need to know that this is legitimate, because we cannot go and knock on your door to find out if you're there. So the only way that we can is by following social media, is by looking at your reviews, looking at your engagement, looking at your footprint. And if it's fake, then you're going to get caught. It's not going to work for you. So try to follow the right path. Using Google My Business, a great tool. Get on it, use it, embrace it. It's not going anywhere. Google is not going anywhere either. So just get on with it and embrace all of the tools that they provide for free, because it's saving small businesses thousands of pounds when there are alternatives out there from which will be charging you hundreds of pounds a month to use the same software that's for free. And this is what SEO agencies are doing up and down the country. Maybe 90 to 95% of them will be giving you things that are for free and charging you a premium for them. So local SEO, we'll go over this one more time, which is this ABC map listing. So this is where we start seeing this information here, and then we have the local relevant results. Now, obviously, we'll go back to, if you are a restaurant in Manchester, you want to have Good Food magazine linking to you ideally, as well as the Manchester Evening Times. That would be the best combination of 2 backlinks pointed to your website, and you probably don't need any more than that, to be frank and honest. Or how about a food charity in Manchester? So you're giving away or some offcuts to a local food charity and removing food waste, and in return you're getting a link from that charity pointing through to you. A really fantastic way to increase that exposure for yourselves and to get an authoritative and worthwhile link on there as well. Reviews, as you can see, the ones that are ranking have a large amount of reviews, and they are probably responding to those reviews, and they have their local listings all citationed and matched up. You can go and check out a free little toolkit for you, which is called Supple, S-U-P-P-L-E. Search it on Google. If you go onto that website and put in your company name, if you are on Google My Business, then it will find it and it will generate you a special link. That link you can send out to all of your customers, and as soon as they click on it, it loads up the review box and they can just put a review straight in. Really quick, seamless way to start generating reviews quickly. Or they give you a QR code from which you can pop into your local Nettl store, and they can turn that into a little banner outside, put an incentive on there, go and leave us a review and get a free lollipop. Something like that, especially if you're a hair salon, get the kids to push and put pressure on their parents to go and leave the review to get the free gift. Give away a Google Home Mini for every person that leaves you a review. These reviews are worth their weight in gold. So embrace it and use it. So local SEO factors, ABC, and I will say it again, if you want to have success in SEO and you're a local business, this is the fastest route to success. This is the easiest way to turn the needle. Reviews, we are focusing on reviews. We're focusing on local links, community links. Think schools, think charities within your region, think local press. Name, address, and phone number, NAP, consistency. And we check that for you as part of your audit, and we take care of that for you as well. But as with all things, if you're a technical SEO customer at any level, do all of these things as well. Don't just throw £200 a month at a problem and think it's resolved, because this should be something that's ingrained into everyday business life forever. Now, this is not something that's going away. This is staying. This is like having a website before. You wouldn't not have a website, and you wouldn't not have SEO now. So either way, you've got to do it. So localized content, local citations, so listings in as many of the local press websites which have directory listings as possible. Good user experience, fast, straight to the point, cutting through the nonsense and all of the vanity and just getting to the point of what somebody is actually looking for. Are they looking for a quotation? What's the fastest way that they can put through a quotation which allows you the opportunity to convert that customer? Are they looking to buy online? Don't put things behind area. Take inspiration from Amazon. You click on Amazon after a search result, it takes you straight to the product. And then it's got the reviews, it's got a unique description, and you can buy it. That's all you want as a consumer. Nobody cares about who you are most of the time or about all of the other things. They care about the convenience, the price, and what product that you have and the USP. The faster you can get across that message to get that conversion, the better. So user experience and then social signals. Put it out on social media, but you don't have to do it frequently. The biggest YouTuber in the world, Mark Rober, amazing ex-NASA scientist. He's got millions of viewers, really, really fascinating stuff. If you ever want to get into the world of YouTube, I become a complete convert away from watching traditional TV to only YouTube now, because it is so tailored to what you want. It's fantastic once you actually get into it. So with him, he posts one video every single month, and that video earns him roughly £200,000 a month in revenue just from one video, which typically gets 10 to 20 million views. And he just does that every single month. And what he does is he analyzes intent, creates a video from which people are actually asking questions around, and then publishes it. It takes 15 minutes. He has a beginning, middle, and end, like any good story, and people stay throughout the whole time, and he can monetize it. So he also then has affiliates to stores associated with inventing things. So there are very clever things. Embrace the world of YouTube. The whole point is it doesn't have to be commercial grade. Use your phone, create video content. People will watch it, people will love it, people will share it. Even in the most obscure random areas, I promise you, there is stuff out there on YouTube from which will scratch somebody's itch. So simple SEO mistakes. We're going to cover this nice and quickly because hopefully you have been listening and have picked up on all of these things that people have been getting fundamentally wrong with SEO. So focusing on the wrong keywords. If we ask you, or if you get any sales pitch saying, great news, Alec, send us your keywords, and then we're going to make you rank top in 3 months for only £150 a month. It is complete BS. It is absolute nonsense. It's not going to happen. Because who is, like you as a small business owner, you're not expected to know what keywords are going to convert. That's our job as SEOs, for goodness sake. That's why we've been studying this for 10 years. So you want to analyze intent and not vanity metrics, which we've all been led to believe we should be aiming for, and actually going for all website visibility. Not only that, but SEO is your brand. If you search Moonpig and you don't come up, that's SEO. If you search Moonpig and Funky Pigeon comes up second, that's SEO. If you search Moonpig and a bad news article in the Daily Mail comes up that you need getting rid of, people come to us for SEO to remove that negative article. All of that is SEO. So it's important to understand just how broad this subject is. Not optimizing your title tags and meta descriptions because, well, you're probably just being lazy. Just go ahead and do it. It takes 2 minutes to do. There's no reason not to do it. And if you are even an SEO customer, go and do it because it just means that us as engineers can move on to more meaningful, complex things which you might not be able to set up and configure, like a content delivery network, which is basically something that we install for a lot of customers, which allows you to decentralize the content on your website. And it's a bit like creating a motorway where you once had a single track road. Now, we wouldn't expect you to be able to configure a content delivery network and set up servers in a specific way to allow good amount of traffic and high levels of security. But you can do a lot of these basic things, which will speed up the process and get you much faster to delivering a return on investment. Creating irrelevant and low quality content, which nobody's searching for and adds no value to the internet, copy and pasting from somebody else's website and adding it to your own, is pointless. Just don't even bother. If you're not going to commit to it, then this isn't the right subject for you, then just go and move on. You need to own this subject. You either need to own it yourselves if you're a single person within your business, or if you have a team, give responsibilities to your team. When I work with larger brands, I say to them, you need to have SEO guidelines the same way you have brand guidelines, because then your individual departments are going to be doing SEO as they do things and not do things and then have to be optimized after. It's really counterproductive. So yeah, instill things at best practice, distribute them across your team to get the most value. Focusing too much on SEO. Focus on your customers. This is the only thing you need to do. The rest of it is just technical and just best practice. Apart from that, all you have to do is create compelling content for your customers, which is relevant. If you do that and commit time to it, you will be rewarded. Low quality content, just adding 200 words of repeating the same phrase over and over, adds no value. Google will see straight through it, as will all other search engines. A poor social media presence. If you're not updated your social media in the last 6 months, then, well, all that's going to tell Google and any search engine is that maybe this business isn't actually open. And if they're not open, then we're not going to show them on the search results. So you need to make sure that you are updating it once a day. You can use tools like Buffer and other tools, even within Facebook, to schedule a whole month's worth of messages in advance, just to create some routine going on there, something that Google can re-index and go and check out and follow. And that will take you maybe half an hour to go and set up and do. So there's really no excuse not to be putting some kind of valuable presence out on social media. Forgetting about analytics, Search Console, Google Trends is one of my favorite tools at the moment. You can put in any subject, such as car hire, and it will come up with the seasonal trends for the last 10 years within any region, and then it will tell you some long tail phrases relating to it. Now, what Google is giving you there is a whole year's worth of content creation, and knowing when is best to send out that content and when is best to create it. So for Hotel Chocolat, we know that people are more likely to search for vegan chocolate at the end of January. So we create all of our vegan chocolate content around the end of January, and we're not doing that in April when there's actually not really that many people searching for it. So building into intent, building your marketing calendar around data and analytics, and not just by a hunch or by, hey, this is what's always worked, and that's what's going to work in the future, because it's not. Things are changing, and you're missing opportunities which you may have never even realized are very quick and easy to attain. Not doing competitor analysis, or the classic thing, and I've fallen guilty of it, obsessing over one or two businesses which you particularly hate the business owner of. You really don't want them to be above you, so you're overly obsessed just about that business rather than seeing the bigger picture. The bigger picture is your real competitors might be Wikipedia, it might be Amazon, because they're the ones who are ranking for the phrases that you want to rank for. Ignore your local competitor, go after the unique opportunities. Don't be a sheep and follow the crowds. So competitive analysis. So there are great ways that you can go and search your competitors' keywords. You can search your competitors' key landing pages, and there are ways for you to reverse engineer a particular website that is doing very well. Now, the easiest way to do this is to go and search a couple of key landing phrases, and then some of the longer tail phrases, which you can either find in People Also Asked, which is a little box that comes up, or you can use a tool called alsoasked.com. And you can type in a primary subject, and it will spit out every long tail question and answer relating to that subject that people often go and search for after. The more of those questions that you answer on your webpage, the more authority you will have, the higher visibility you will gain over time. This is a marathon, not a sprint. So instead of guessing what people are searching for and what your competitors are ranking for, you can actually start by Googling these phrases and going to the bottom of the page and seeing what Google recommends as a related phrase to go and search for, then continue going down that rabbit hole. Or if you're me, go and use something like alsoasked.com and just do a free export of all of the long tail keywords, or go into Search Console, which Google's already done the hard work for you, and it knows what phrases people are searching for, which is relevant for your website. So to rank well for pizza, you need to be a pizza restaurant or offer a local pizza delivery service within that region. Because once again, if you are optimizing for just pizza as a generic phrase, everybody has a personalized search experience now, based on their locality, based on their previous search history, based on their cookies, and all of their historic interactions online. So it's kind of pointless just going after pizza as one phrase, because reality is, by searching pizza in Bristol, even without putting in Bristol, just searching pizza, Google knows you're in Bristol and you want a pizza result in Bristol. So it's localizing that result for you. So either which way, you need to be the pizza restaurant. Ideally, you would have pizza in your title, because that's obvious. It tells Google exactly what you do. You're telling them via Google My Business if you do delivery, or if it's just casual dining. Based on your reviews, if you're really badly reviewed, it's not going to recommend you, obviously. So you need to have a high frequency of reviews and a lot of interaction via social media to compete in that space. But it's 100% possible. If you're seeing big brands like Just Eat and Pizza Express, you can beat them because they are generic big brands. Many times we have worked on small localized niche products and beaten Amazon, beaten eBay at what they would see as very competitive phrases, because they are very broad, generic, watered down nonsense where you are local experts within a certain field. So to rank well for Make Pizza, you obviously need, based on intent, video content on how to make pizza, or a recipe on how to make pizza. So Google is relating recipe with make, and understanding that somebody searching for that isn't going to want to go and order a pizza. They want to make it. So it understands the intent of somebody searching. A cool way that you can play around with this is if you, and I say cool because I'm a bit of a Google nerd, I'm afraid, but if you search how old is Justin Bieber on Google, and it will come up as an answer, and it will give you the rich snippet result for that. Then if you say, how tall is he? It understands that he is relating to Justin Bieber. So we're heading towards a world where we can just generally have a full-blown conversation with a search engine, and it remembers, it has a memory, and it knows exactly what you're looking for. So bear that in mind when you're creating content. So facts about pizza. Ideally, if you're wanting something around this key phrase, then you'll have bullet points. Google loves bullet points because it knows that it's easily digestible content. To give you an idea about the average mental age of somebody reading content on your webpage, it's that of about a 7 or 8-year-old. Now, I have I have had a 7 or 8-year-old who's a little bit older now. And she traditionally will just very quickly browse and skim through content looking for the answer that she's looking for. So if you're not making content easily digestible, it's going to be really hard for Google to prioritize it because the users will just get bored and click away. So having bullet points, breaking things up with images, infographics, and video content is a great way to make something more digestible. And a top tip regarding video content, want to make sure that you're uploading your own subtitles, because Google still doesn't have the ability to crawl spoken word. It does have the ability to crawl your subtitles. So if you're adding subtitles manually to your videos, it's like having, if that video is like 2,000 words long, it's like having 2,000 words of content embedded on your page, which is hugely valuable and not very spammy, and it looks really nice when you're adding it to the website. So analyze the content on page content at the top 3 or 5 pages. Now what we're doing here is doing something called skyscrapering content, right? So we're looking at what's ranking top right now. Who are these websites who are ranking top? Who are they? And then looking at what is the difference between their website and my website. And then making it better, making it more relevant, making it more up to date, adding better images, adding better video content. And if they have no video content, if they have no images, and if they have only 300 words, then as a skyscraper builder, you're going to go in and build a bigger skyscraper. You're going to go, I'm going to add 500 words, which is more up to date. I'm going to add a video about this because I am an expert in my field. I'm not shy about putting myself out there. I'm going to do a short 1-minute video and upload it to YouTube, embed that YouTube video in my website. I will be the authority. So you are taking what is old and making it fresh and new and making it better. Use whatever's ranking as inspiration, have it side by side on one half of the screen, and create your new content on the other. Find out who mentions or links to your competitors, and you can do this with these very clever little link tags. So you can search these actual phrases, and we'll share these as a takeaway in Google. And this is a very clever way of using Google because it will find every single mention of Nettl.com online. So everyone talking about it, whether it be in social media, and you could do this to any website, any of your competitors, and find out who's linking to them. Or you could use a tool like majestic.com. Majestic.com will allow you to put in any competitor domain name, and it will give you a list of every website pointing to it. And then you can go and see how good those links are and pick the best ones and go and work with them yourself. And that is a way of link hijacking and building authority by looking at your competitors, seeing what content they're creating better content, and then going after their link partners and making them your own. And that's something that we do from an SEO perspective. It's a very expensive way of doing SEO, but it's a very powerful way of doing it because it's a lot of manual work. And this only really works, in my opinion, when it comes from you, the business owner, because you're the expert. If a SEO company is trying to reach to an industry body on your behalf, they're going to tell us to bugger off. Whereas if you, as an expert in your area, start engaging with them and start creating a community, they're going to reward you for that, and so will search engines. So find your competitors' most linked content and create something better yourself. Skyscraper it, make it more relevant. And that, wrapping up nicely, dead on the 1 hour, is the end of today's session. So I'm going to open up the floor for any questions. I'm going to open up the chat box and run through. We've already got a few on here. So let's see what we've got. I'm unable to hear you. Hopefully that's okay now. PDF with tech brochures do not prove full on SEO. Do they need to change the pages? Is that correct? So PDFs do get indexed and crawled by search engines. It's not preferred way of creating content. A great way is by taking PDF content, putting it through a reverse system, which strips a PDF of its Word content, puts into a Word document, which then you can readily upload onto your website and make use of content previously not used. It's a bit like some people out there, believe it or not, scan books and then publish it on the internet so that they have thousands of pages of unique content which have never been indexed before, and it makes them look like an authority. So there are actual people, and normally in Pakistan or India, who do that just for a living. So take books, upload them, and become an authority very quickly by doing that, because it's a very laborious, repetitive process. Assume if you say no new content in Google will not come back, if it actually crawls past, sees the last modified date and does not crawl inside. Assuming that, if I just change one paragraph or maybe fix a typo, do they see that as me just trying to fool them and thinking it's updated and mark them down? No, absolutely not, because you're trying to make things more relevant. So if you're just going in and fixing some errors, Google may not come back that frequently, but it will if you have a social media link pointing to your website. So if your website can't really add anything more to it, let's say, and it's as up to date as it possibly ever could be, which is unlikely, so just spend some time doing some content on there, then having just one link on social media will allow Google's crawler to go and follow it and then re-index and update the content again. As long as you're not trying to put white text on a white background saying, I'm the best at SEO, then you're probably going to be fine. So that's fine. Question 2, if I have links to YouTube videos on my site, does Google use closed captions to rank the web pages? If they're your videos and you can citate them back to yourself as being the expert in that field creating that content, then yes. But there's been many websites over the years who just go, hey, here's 3 useful videos. And all you're doing is you're giving the creator of that video the authority. You're actually helping them amplify themselves on YouTube, which has its own very own algorithm, which is not very fun to work with. What is that called? Alicia, do you want to specify what you mean? And I'll pick that back up again. Alicia Burney. Turan, question 3, is there any magic number for reviews? Yes, as many as physically possible. And it's all about frequency. So there's no point just getting 60 reviews and being dormant for ages. Ideally, the more frequent reviews you get, the more often Google will come back and reindex the website. So if you can get like 1 every day, that's great. If it's 1 a week, then it's probably better than what you're doing now. So just really try to focus on doing it. There are some rules within reviews alone. So the age of a Google account, if it's a brand new Google account which has never left a review before, that holds lower weight as an authority compared to a Google account which is very aged. It's lower weight on authority if that Google account is out of region compared to a Google account which is in a region. And if the review contains keywords like this hair salon was amazing, they did my haircut perfectly, I am no longer going grey and I look fabulous now. That would be a great review for a hair salon compared to they did a good job. So being descriptive with reviews really does have a massive impact as well. So in your situation from a hypnosis perspective, you might want to put on there, Turan was amazing. I've always been skeptical upon hypnosis. However, I found it non-threatening. And actually, I must say that the hypnotism really worked and I no longer smoke. That would be like a really great ideal review. And then ideally, if they could put in the region as well. So I've tried all the other hypnotists in Birmingham. They're all rubbish, but Turan's is amazing. Go to him. And that's a great review right there. Smiley face, cheers Turan. Having looked into organic SEO and searches, how easily can you assess how many visits your competitor websites are getting through pay-per-click? Because I could be at the top of the pile in organic and still be beaten by ads. Good question. Reality here, and the reason why SEO has been nominated by both Google and Microsoft as the #1 marketing skill to master in the next 10 years. Just name dropping myself because we are getting a lot busier during lockdown. And that is because if you have 100 people searching for a subject on Google, only 20 of those people click on ads. 80 of those people click on the top 3 organic results because we live in an ad-savvy generation. So whatever you are generating revenue-wise from PPC, if you are ranking top for those key phrases, that you're targeting on PPC and getting conversions from, you will get 4 times the volume of traffic for a lot less money by ranking SEO wise, which is why I would normally say you want to have SEO coexist with PPC. If you're running a good PPC campaign, you're exploring a broad match of keywords which people are converting at. And then you can set up tracking and understand what keywords people most likely convert at. Once you have that information, they're the keywords you're going after SEO wise, because you know that once you get there, you're going to get your ROI. The last thing you want to do is go in completely blind based on assumption and say, right, I'm just going to do SEO and not have any test data to go by, because you could spend 6 months or 12 months pursuing a key phrase, which once you rank, nobody's buying, and it's going to be a complete waste of time. So you want to make sure that the keywords that you're targeting are converting, and you can do that great by Google Ads. You can set up your own Google Ads campaign. If you don't use Nettl to do it, then fine. You go and set up your own. Google will give you £75 free credit normally to run an ad campaign, and then you can start seeing which keywords work for you. Then run that alongside organic, because the ROI that you should be generating from PPC needs to be reinvested into your organic, and there is no cap on the amount of budget you should be investing in organic SEO. I will tell you that some of the companies that we work with will spend upwards of £100,000 a month on SEO, just SEO, and those companies could be spending up to £1 million a month on PPC. Now that's because they are targeting maybe the whole of Europe or the whole country rather than you targeting a small location, but don't take it for granted. It is by far the most important marketing channel for the next 10 years to focus on. Even so that Google employs its own SEOs, because even they don't know what the algorithm's doing anymore. So that's why you need to take it seriously and own it. Yeah, so basically, you don't need to worry. If your competitors are ranking for a PPC phrase that you're going after organically, let them, because they're the ones who are going to be paying 20% increase year on year for the same cost per click. As everybody else floods to online, I'm expecting to see that increase. But typically every year, the cost of PPC increases 20%. So what was working for you a couple of years ago is going to be 40% more expensive 2 years ago than it is now, because more and more businesses are going online and there's more voice to be shared out. So that's why organic is the only way to go. I'm saying that both from a bias perspective, but also from a common sense perspective. Off-site SEO. WordPress has just written to me and said that they are taking geotagging off my website. Is this how sometimes can search for me in this area? If so, how can I add my location back to my website? Just add the address. What is a meta description, title tag, and how do you optimize them? Okay, there's a couple of things there, Pollyanna. So if you're servicing a local region or a local area, then you just need to be a specialist on that local area. So when we're building out location-based landing pages or on your contact us page, yeah, you're 100% right. You just put your address and you say, we serve the following regions. And then if you can add a little bit of information about those regions, anything of value, go back to being a takeaway and saying the best places to have a picnic in Bristol are X, Y, and Z. Useful, relevant content, injecting the local area, being an expert in your local area. And then when you're talking about meta descriptions and title tags, you're just doing what's best for the customer. So if you are a Chinese takeaway, then you're going to say on there, we have been voted the #1 Chinese restaurant in Bristol. Come and visit us today. £5 off for every brand new customer. That's a great meta description because it's going to entice people through, get them clicking through, and then you can go and sell to them. But within meta descriptions and title tags, Pollyanna, if you're on WordPress, go and use Yoast. Really good tool, really good guys. I've met the owner, he's awesome. Yeah, go and use Yoast. It's a free tool by WordPress. Don't just go on that as saying, oh, I'm doing Yoast, now I'm doing SEO, but it's a very good tool for fundamentals. And if you're doing that fundamentally correct, that's going a long way towards things. You mentioned something about people being able to send people a link to a review. What was that called? Supple, S-U-P-P-L-E. So Supple, search Supple on Google or White Spark. Don't get bought into those services because they're going to try and charge you sometimes up to £100 a month to add your website to local directories. If you're a Nettl SEO customer, we do that for free as part of the SEO campaign. And it's something from which should cost, probably 10 to 15 pounds a month, not hundreds that they quote. And that's ensuring that your name, address, and phone number is matching up in all of those key locations. Something which I used to do manually, and something I would never want any of you to do yourselves, because you're literally going into a website, maybe 100 of them, and updating name, address, and phone number to match up on each one. It is slightly soul destroying. It's not as bad as when we worked on W.H. Smith and we had to label every image, which if you can imagine the different types of paper that they have, and then trying to do a description of each type of GSM paper, and how soul destroying that is when you've got 1.5 million of those products, you'll understand why we're exploring artificial intelligence to do that project for us. So is authorship important? Again, now, yes, very much important, hugely important. Yeah, authorship of yourself and any experts within your region or area. If you have a doctor guest posting on your local doctor surgery, then that's going to be a much more powerful impact compared to the receptionist, is the reality. I have some video content with video clip art and text overlay. Nobody is speaking. If I replicate on screen text in closed caption, is that good? No. Is it adding value to the customer is what I would say to Ran. I would say the most useful thing that you have there is something to increase dwell time. Now, what I've gone through is the fundamentals of SEO, but there are over 300 rules of SEO, and that is changing up to 3 times a day. And it's my job to try to understand and decrypt that as best as I can. But in terms of having a video like that, it's great for dwell time, i.e. somebody's hit that page and they're staying on that page for maybe 5 minutes watching your video. That feeds back as a really positive signal back to Google that they're getting the answer that they're looking for. So it certainly adds value in that sense, but no need to add subtitles if there's nobody speaking on there. We have links to a lot of other sites because we signpost parents to information, but not many people link to us. Is this something Google will be suspicious about? No, not really. So you're doing a great job by helping the internet to be easier to understand and to link to relevant areas. So that's perfect. You're probably not getting many links back to you because you're probably not asking many of them. Reaching out to some of those charities and asking for a reciprocal link back. If it's relevant, there's nothing wrong with a reciprocal link. And just say, it'd be great to help us drive traffic to this service because we're shouting about you. Give us a hand. If there are charities and schools and so on, then if you're doing any donations or anything like that, once again, a very, very good way to obtain those backlinks. It's just by asking, especially if you're asking rather than an SEO company. Like I said, they're going to have an instant rapport with you because you're in similar industries compared to some random man or woman at an SEO agency who's just trying to clearly game the system. When you're asking for a link, try not to ask for a link. It's the only thing I say. What you want to actually say is, can you help me drive traffic to my website? Naturally, they will leave a link. But ideally, in that scenario, you're not physically asking for a physical link because if you are caught doing that, Google could slap you on the wrist for trying to manipulate link acquisition. So what you're asking for there is, can you please drive some traffic through to my website? And you can send them the link and they'll naturally leave it. But if you physically ask for an SEO related link, Google could see that as a devious behavior. I'll tell you a quick story about what happened before. So Moonpig, a few years ago, sent loads of bloggers free flowers if they wrote a blog article about Mother's Day flowers and Moonpig. One of those bloggers forwarded one of those emails to Google. Google penalized the whole of Moonpig and removed them from Google Index entirely. So even if you search Moonpig on Google, it disappeared. And only when they apologized and did a public shaming apology from Google did Google reinstate their search listings and they became back online. But the damage was already done. They lost millions of pounds of revenue. So make sure you're doing it in a clever way, which is also legitimate. I'm making a new website. The SEO on the current website is quite good, but the website is really outdated. Is there any way to transfer the SEO from the current to the new one? Yes, making sure that you have all of the same content over there and the same URL structure and website structure. So you're not just completely eradicating the structure that was there before. Google's main analysis is going to be on understanding what pages belong where. So if you're changing all of your page titles and mismatching everything, it's not going to go down very well. I would strongly recommend doing one spreadsheet of every page URL on one side, one spreadsheet of every page URL on the other, doing a big game of spot the difference, making sure they all match up. And if you want to add more on top, fantastic, add more, but don't, don't completely change it. Otherwise, it's going to be a real pickle when you go live. Alec, getting Google reviews is bloody frustrating. Yes, it is. I've lost count of times that I've asked people to leave a review and given up because they don't have a Google account. Another problem is that they get so far, think they've completed the task and don't complete, which means you've lost all that effort and gone nowhere. Yeah. So what I used to do when I got reviews was literally have them on the phone with me until they left the review, and I'll be there going, yeah, so if you just click on this button now and just keep at them until they leave it. And if you're in a physical location, what I did with a hair salon once was put a tablet on the wall, which basically after they had their haircut, they would have to go up to the tablet on this wall, and before they could pay, they have to leave for a review. And that's the only way to get out of that experience. So it's like embedding a way into that experience to encourage people to leave reviews. And that could be, get 5% off your bill if you leave a review and show us your review. Incentivizing people, because honestly, it's worth its weight in gold getting these legitimate reviews. It really is. So if you can give a little incentive, that's the only way to do it. Or you're holding them to ransom, you're locking them in a room until they very well do it. Okay, I think that's it. Thanks very much. Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for staying so long. Thank you. If you need any questions, then do let me know. Supple shows up a lot of web designers. Any more help there for that service? No. Just use the free things. A lot of these companies will try to charge you a lot. Go to the guys at Nettl. Honestly, we are trying to do things differently. I'm not directly affiliated with any store in particular, but we are training up every Nettl studio and store as SEO experts on intensive sessions like this every single week right now. And they are the direct access to me and the technical team. So if you have any SEO questions, you will not find a more affordable SEO service than what Nettl are offering, and that's on purpose. That's because of the sheer volume and scale that we're able to work on. If you ever were a Yale customer, SEO-wise, you will probably have the complete opposite kind of experience, because that was a big con and a sham by Yale. They literally did nothing and took people's monies. It was really, really bad, and they're actually going under at the moment. So more news coming there. So if you're advertising with Yale, take that advertising money away. Either do it yourself and use that money to go and get some more coffee and write some more content and add it to your website, or work with the helpful local Nettl team, because they truly are awesome. I've got lots of underscores. If I change the hyphens, will I lose my SEO? So around, don't worry, mate. You could do, if you're on WordPress, use eggplant redirect, and you can do a redirect for free from your underscores to your hyphens, and you won't lose anything. If there's any other questions, then feel free to reach out to seo@nettl.com. It'll come to me and the team, and we'll try and get back to you as soon as we can. Apart from that, you'll get a copy of this video and a little takeaway as well. Cheers, everyone. I'll see you next time.